Patricia Gras. Welcome to Passion Time. I'm here with Sara Speer Selber. And Sara is the founder of the Project Management Team, a consulting firm specializing in design, development, and management of socially responsible initiatives. In other words, you care about social responsibility, which is something we all need. But she also worked in the Dynegy Foundation and AIDS Foundation Houston. And she really is very well known as a change maker. But before we start, I wanted to ask you, how is it that you found your passion? And how are you living your passion?
So I don't think I found my passion. I think
it just came to you.
It found you. It found me. I have a child who, at a very young age, was diagnosed with a myotonic dystrophy. I was a speech pathologist at the time.
Okay.
They told me he would probably have a fatal pneumatic reaction at about the age of 5. And some voice in me spoke very loudly and said, go learn how to love in the moment. And I was in West Texas at the time, in Midland, and dropped out of life, put my son into every kind of therapy imaginable. And about 2 weeks before we were going to fly back to Houston for a follow-up visit, I sat out on my porch in West Texas, looked up at those big, gorgeous Midland skies, and kind of had this conversation with, people would say God, whatever people want to call it.
Whatever, the higher power.
And it was sort of, look, I don't really know how to pray. I'm Jewish. We know how to eat.
I know.
We culturally get it, right? Yeah, we don't know how to pray. But we do negotiate. And we've negotiated sort of from the beginning of time. It's all through the Old Testament. So spare me this young man's life, and I will wake up every day, and I will try and make a difference in the world. And I flew home, and it was a false diagnosis.
So you had a miracle.
Every project, every job, every human, it's once I learned how to get out of my own way, it showed up. And so much like HIV and AIDS, really everything, the people show up, like you showed up.
Yeah.
At a point in time when we were trying to talk about HIV and AIDS in Houston, and nobody would do it, and you said, I'll do a show.
Sure, yeah.
It's like that, and so we don't have to work that hard. Being able to do what I do for a living, what a gift.
Right. Now, you do care about something, and that is mental health of children in Texas, particularly, because we are probably one of the worst states in the country when it comes to mental health services. I don't know exactly why that is, and it doesn't matter, because what we want to focus is in solutions, right? Yeah. So tell me, what have you found, and where do we go from here?
Yeah. So I think it goes a little beyond mental health. If we start looking at the last 5 years in particular in the state of Texas, the state budget has cut Medicaid services for children, early childhood intervention dollars for children, various other budgets. And at the same time, we've begun this conversation about preschool for all. So we're putting all of these kids into preschool. The more of these preschool environments I visit, all the way up through kind of 2nd grade, you can literally walk into a classroom and you can see that there are children that have never had a true diagnostic for learning differences, mental health differences, behavioral differences, even physical differences. And so they're in these preschool classes kind of failing earlier. By 2nd grade, if they'd had that diagnosis of a visual processing disorder or an auditory processing or trauma in the home, there's a chance that they could be on grade level. In the state of Texas, by 3rd grade, if a child is not doing well, in other words, passing the standardized tests in math and or reading, they're considered part of a census for a prison bed in the future. Wow.
Pipeline to the prison system.
Right. So the pipeline to prison is really starting from what I can see earlier. There's so much data to support that preschool is so important. Preschool is important, but not if we're not really addressing every child as an individual today and giving them equal access. When my son couldn't roll over in a crib, I'm a speech pathologist, I knew what to do. When my daughter had a different learning situation, I knew what to do. Most people don't.
Right.
So unless you're part of this highly educated world that has full access, chances are we are literally starting to subject children earlier and longer to failure.
So, and why, I mean, did you get involved in this topic because of your son, or what was it that concerned you the most?
Yeah. So I was in college in New Orleans, and, back then I'm kind of older.
You're not.
Well, I'm the white-headed population. We didn't have a lot of access to what we would be when we grew up. So speech
Right.
pathology seemed
The
better
thing to do, better than teaching
than a retail training
time,
program
right.
or a nurse.
Right.
And I ran into the first child, quite by mistake, with autism in West Texas. And so we had started a school called the Developmental Disability Center, which today is the Bynum School. And I learned so much about the gifts of the children that we label as disabled or with mental health issues. It's actually quite the opposite. What I'm learning as an adult is all of these children with these labels, autism spectrum, schizophrenic, whatever they are, they have so many gifts. They have so many extraordinary gifts, and if we would plug into those strengths, we would create so much of a richer learning environment for everybody involved.
So what do we need to do? What can a regular person do? How do we get involved to change this?
Yeah, I think we're living now in a time where we think if we tweet or we post, we're a solution.
And we're not.
And we're not. So in your own neighborhoods, there are schools. In your very own neighborhood, that if you have any skill set, those schools would love to have you. On your own block. You remember when you grew up, what happened on your block? You knew,
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, right? If you smoked a cigarette,
Everybody
not that I
knew.
would have ever done that.
Oh, no.
How long did it take for your parents to find that out?
2 seconds.
Right, and how many people today know their next door neighbors?
They don't.
They don't. So I think we need to take a real step back, use technology for the advantageous opportunities. There's an app world now called bridgingapps.org, which for families who have kids with different abilities or people who have aging parents and they're losing the ability to communicate with them, there's a whole technology world of apps that can help with that. I think using a combination now of technology and this,
Yeah.
that
The
tactile
human
engagement,
touch, right.
human touch. Get out of politics. Stop waiting for your government to fix it. They're not. Stop
Yeah.
waiting for corporate America. They're not.
Take a step
Take
yourself.
a step. Take care of your own parents, your own siblings, your own cousins, your own neighborhood, and then look in your own community. And there's, come on, how many nonprofits in Houston? Over 400,000 or something?
Yeah.
It's not like it's hard to get involved.
Yeah. Just get involved.
It's a choice.
Yeah, you're right. All right, Sara Speer Selber, thank you so much for joining us.
It's always fun.
And
to
if
hang.
people can, you mentioned a website or you mentioned an app. Can you share that again? So
Sure,
that
it's-
if people want to get involved in this. what are
Yeah, I mean, I always refer people who are interested in the inclusion community and people with special abilities to eastersealshouston.org. The center is doing some remarkable work as well. And the specific world of app-based learning is called bridgingapps.org.
Thank you, Sara, for being with us, and thank you for the work that you do.
And for you,
Appreciate
salud.
it. Salud. All right, and we'll see you next time on Passion Time.
Yo sé que tú puedes, que tú eres capaz.
Cambia tu vida,
La vida es una y tú vas a triunfar.
cambia tu vida.
Con fe y esperanza, las puertas